At $3,500, it's not a mass market product right now. It's an early adopter product. People who want to have tomorrow's technology today, that's who it's for. Fortunately, there's enough people who are in that camp that it's exciting. If you doubt the Vision Pro, you might be right. Or you might be as wrong as the skeptics who dismissed iPods and iPhones and AirPods, and from the success of the company's iconic products. It doesn't occur overnight. None of these did.
Welcome back to A Vision Experiment with me, Ty, talking everything Apple Vision Pro, spatial computing, applications, accessories, and more. And we really need to talk about what is going on with Apple and the Apple Vision Pro. I picked up my Apple Vision Pro in June in New York, and it was one of the things that I was extremely excited to do. Like, I think seeing everyone in the US picking theirs up in February made me incredibly envious. And one of the things that was really key from Apple's keynotes when they've been talking about Vision Pro was the amount of native apps that would be available and the amount of iPad apps that would run on the Vision Pro itself.
This means hundreds of thousands of iPad and iPhone apps will be available on Vision Pro at launch.
But we're now in October and there's some things that we need to discuss about what Apple does have and what they don't have. One of the things I want to really get clear here is that this is not talking about changes to physical hardware. As it stands at the moment, the Apple Vision Pro is what it is. We have this device that has an incredible spec sheet for a standalone, let's just say XR device. They're not going to like it, but it's true. At the end of the day, it's a mixed reality headset that does AR, VR, and more. But it has things that others don't have. And the only thing that I want to kind of put in place is what Apple does have in this product is something that sits above other products. Things like the Meta Quest. People may disagree, but if you really look at it closely, the specs say that this product itself has far greater power. It has an amazing ability to do things that other headsets just simply can't do with their mobile chipsets. The chipsets that come from Qualcomm at the moment in the XR2 type chipsets just can't really compete with custom silicon from Apple. In the M2 chip and the R1 chip that headset has, you simply have a different product completely. So many reviews have come out recently talking about more recent Meta releases and looking at the Quest 3 and other devices from other companies. And they're all amazing. They do very similar things. But what people who have been reviewing these products don't talk about is that there are so many other technology platforms that are the same. There are smartphones that sit at the high end and mid end and low end. They do a similar thing but have major differences. It's the same in the world of gaming, where you would purchase, say, a gaming PC. High end could cost you thousands of dollars, but then you could also just go and buy a PS5 or an Xbox. They both do similar things, but we all know that one has a greater cost based on what it has in its insides, what it has as the sum of its parts. And these are the things that I really want to get out there to people who may be watching this that don't own a Vision Pro, that see the price point and shudder that it's just unattainable. And I agree, it's a high price point to pay for a device where you could go out, you could go and buy one of the Meta products and quite easily have a fantastic experience. But what you really need to look at, as most people just don't, is what really the sum of its parts are. And this is where most people just seem to sort of skim over it and go straight to the price point. Then they go straight to what the potential negatives are of the product and why it isn't worth that price point. One thing that doesn't get mentioned that should get mentioned and is well known in the world of XR is that Meta have always been a loss leader. They've always sold products at less than what they really should be to gain mass adoption, to create more users and have a greater user base. And they've done a fantastic job of it, even though we aren't still there at a point where these things are ubiquitous in the home. We know full well that Meta have played a massive part in steering us in that direction. The big issue when we come to Apple and looking at Apple as, let's just say, an infant in this world where Meta and Oculus before it had really kind of started the new generation, you really have to sort of say that Apple are jumping in the deep end with a lot of other manufacturers who have been doing this for a very long time. And they've really probably done, in all honesty, what Apple always do. Sit back and wait for people to implement things first. Maybe not do it quite so well, or if anything, they just decide that they're just going to do it their way and that's how they want to do it. You know, everyone in every review will say that it's too heavy, that it has things that are gimmicky, things that aren't required in something that realistically should cost a lot less to gain more adopters. But there are a lot of other things that right now Apple are really sort of being slow on and aren't feeding us with enough information. One of the key Apple, let's just say, information deliverers or leakers is Mark Gurman. Shout out to Mark Gurman. He works for Bloomberg as a journalist and a tech journalist at that, and he is usually the one that spreads the news internally of what Apple are doing, from things like iPhones, iPads, Macs and Vision Pro and more, and their internal strategies. We all believe that Apple are a long way in front of us all in terms of what their plans are for some of these products. They definitely have us feeling like they should be far ahead of what they want to do. But Mark always seems to come out with statements that seem that Apple maybe don't quite know what they want to do, what their thoughts are about the product itself out in the wild. And more recently, Apple have been releasing feedback emails to customers asking them how often they're using their Vision Pro. I've had one recently and I've gone through it and I've been brutally honest about some of the things that I do. I use the product daily, and there are things that I don't do with it that I feel are lacking. And this is what we're going to talk about. What does an Apple Vision Pro have right now that is to its strengths? And the biggest one is hardware. I genuinely believe that this product right now, as a readily available consumer device, regardless of its price, is probably the best standalone device available on the market. You aren't going to get anything as powerful and as high resolution as the product that we have currently available from Apple. And also there are the strengths of the ability to deliver that to customers in demonstrating it in their physical stores. You can't even comprehend what the Vision Pro can do without getting it on your head physically and going through a demo and understanding how amazing some of the elements of Vision Pro are from a visual clarity perspective. To touch upon that is one of the key things that I see as a differentiator between my time using the Meta Quest Pro to try and use it for productivity versus the Apple Vision Pro. I've been using the Mac Virtual Display for pretty much every single video on a Vision Experiments channel. I've been using it to edit all the time, and it is one of the best portable displays that I have ever used. When it comes to using other headsets and trying to do the same thing, I don't get the same level of eye strain. I have that visual clarity. Everything looks sharp when I'm trying to do editing and I'm working with text and I'm reading text. It's just a joy to use when using it with the right accessories, things like Anna Pro, as I mentioned before, to allow me to potentially at times take that strain off my face and use it without a light seal. That 4K per eye is so incredibly noticeable, and lack of screen door effect. Yes, the Apple Vision Pro has a narrower field of view to the current variety of Meta products and other products that are out there on the market, from HTC and Pimax and any other manufacturer They all have different levels of field of view, but they do not have, in my opinion, for the standalone devices specifically, that clarity. Next, I genuinely believe that it has the best mixed reality experience. Meta Quest 3 and their 3S are incredible devices for the price, and the ability to do depth correction and everything is stunning as well, but it's just not quite there compared to the Vision Pro. Now, the Vision Pro has some downsides on some levels of motion blur, and I can hear you guys out there saying that already, but in truth, it can completely, in my eyes, be mitigated by sort of being a little bit more careful in your movements, and I think Apple want that to be the case anyway. If you experience any of the applications that allow you to augment things into the real world, things like jig space, having a look at Formula One vehicles or aeroplane engines, you know that any major movement creates the dip opacity effect of the AR models that are in front of you. So to make sure you're not going to trip over things and you're aware of your surroundings. That encompassing with obviously good lighting usually tends to give you the best mixed reality experience of any headset that I've tried that's standalone. I think the closest that I've ever got to is maybe a Vario device, but still I just think that this is better. Now, I know there are new devices coming to market within the next 12 months or so, and I know that they may have better pass-through, but as it stands at the moment, this is what I have tried and what I know, and the other devices I've tried in the past don't compete with Vision Pro. Apple Immersive Video is a huge one for me personally. Now, I know it's not for everyone, and not everyone sees it as the killer feature that Apple may do, but I genuinely do. I feel like Apple are pushing the boundaries of quality, pushing us to higher levels of fidelity and frame rates. Something we've needed for a very long time, but camera manufacturers haven't really been willing to invest in what is quite a niche market right now. Apple are proving right now with things like Submerged, the immersive film that they've just recently released, and also they'll be coming soon more from NBA and, as far as I'm aware, free diving and loads of other experiences. They are putting some effort into it. There is some things on the other side of this argument that I will discuss about that, but personally I think that that is a very important part of what makes Vision Pro appealing to me personally. An Apple TV has a broad array of 3D movies. Now, for most people, 3D movies aren't the biggest appeal at all. They're not even remotely part of the appeal of purchasing the Vision Pro. But there is no device like Vision Pro when it comes to watching 3D content, and it's stunning, truly stunning. You know, I've done videos about Disney and Disney Plus's variety of 3D movies, and I feel like they are lagging a little bit behind in their offerings for 3D movies. It seems to be just stagnating a little bit, but we won't talk about Disney, we'll talk about Apple TV. And I've been purchasing a few of the films and content they've got on there in 3D, and it is stunning to watch in the headset. If you really do enjoy content like this, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and subscribe. We're currently under 20% of you guys regularly revisiting the channel, and my goal by the end of this year would be to get closer to 30%. So there's such a large amount of you guys coming to me for the first time, or watching but not repeat watching. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at A Vision Experiment. So now to the side of this that probably is the most important thing, and I really want to get you guys involved with the conversation about this. What is it that Apple hasn't got for the Vision Pro right now? What are the things that are causing bottlenecks for Vision Pro right now, evolving and being an amazing platform for Apple, even though it's only a first-gen product? The biggest elephant in the room here is the App Store. When the Vision Pro first launched in February in the United States, Apple promised us a lot of native apps and also the ability to access iPad apps. The problem is that iPad app owners were allowed to opt out of offering their iPad apps available on Vision OS, which were some of the biggest ones out there, from Netflix, Sky, and plenty more. They just don't offer the opportunity to utilize their iPad apps. And native apps, unfortunately, seem to be going on a downward spiral. At the beginning, there seemed to be apparently thousands available. But now, in more recent times, reading some of the most recent stats, it's almost down to single-digit numbers of new apps entering the App Store in the most recent months. It's pretty scary how dramatic that has dropped, and I can only attribute it to the incentive level to create Apple Vision Pro native apps. Apple have been really well known and documented in the amount that they expect developers to pay to have their apps on the App Store, whether that be iOS or iPad OS. The amount of money is, as far as I'm aware, is around 30% of that app's revenue. And if it's an in-app purchase, I believe it's about 27%. Now, that is a hefty price to pay on a platform with very small amounts of users. The sensible option for most developers would probably be to put themselves in the hat in the bigger pool on iOS or iPad OS and hope that they can create an app that drives more money and is more lucrative because there are more users. The idea that you have to pay the same amount with very marginal amount of user base on Vision Pro is, for me, quite frankly, surprising. Apple don't seem to incentivize developers in that monetized kind of way. Now, I'm not a developer. I'm not someone that is creating these things on a daily basis. And if your passion is making immersive applications, then I can understand why you'd want to do it. But realistically, us as the users are desperate for more native applications. One of the biggest ones that I'm super enjoying is InSpace. It's the social platform of Apple Vision Pro right now, and I've met some incredible people doing incredible things in technology and more. Something that really connects me with a growing community of Apple Vision Pro users who are very passionate about the product and really want to see it evolve. And I feel like there's a real key place for these social applications, but obviously there's so much potential that could be unlocked if they can get the right developers on board. The other side to this is the real challenging part of people who have already developed applications for other platforms that simply cannot just port them over to Vision Pro. They basically have to make a brand spanking new app, which costs far too much money to do. So from that standpoint, maybe Apple need to look at the potential of seeing what aren't maybe other platform exclusive applications, especially if they're developed on things like Unity, and being able to sort of give them the ability to migrate it over and port it to Vision Pro in a much easier way, growing the App Store quicker. I know this is probably not what they want to do. It's definitely something that would, to me, probably feel very non-Apple if they went on that approach. But it stands at the moment, what choice is there? Basically cutting off the opportunity for more applications purely because they don't want to spend double the amount of budget on these productions. Some of the things that are really important to me are some of the native applications that Apple should have created for Apple Vision Pro. One of them being a native QuickTime player, particularly one that can also play immersive media from 360, 180 degree media, because I'm, as a producer of that kind of media, really left with very few options from other app producers such as Moon Player and Skybox Player. There are other players on there as well, but all of them I feel are hampered by the fact that there isn't anything native that they can run their apps in the background properly and make that content play as well as Apple's immersive media. These are things that really, really would probably appeal to broader media content creators, and especially obviously immersive media creators, knowing there are dedicated players on Apple Vision Pro that will play media really high quality without any lag or stutter. So this video was very much talking about those parts of why maybe Apple Vision Pro right now is in a bit of a funk. I wouldn't say it's totally in trouble. I wouldn't say that it's absolutely on the way to being a failure. There are a lot of scaremongers out there wanting to put out this sort of feeling of the Apple Vision Pro is a failure. Well, if you really think about it logically, it hadn't even released beyond the United States from before July. So realistically, giving a handful of months to other regions really has opened the door to more opportunities for people to be demoed to and see the true potential. We all know that the Vision Pro platform is a great one, but will evolve. It will evolve into other Vision products. I cannot see Apple not doing that. Apple wants us to really see what the future is for spatial computing, but they really do need to deliver on a message that has kind of basically been castrated since they last announced things at WWDC 2024. The idea of having an ultra-wide screen just hasn't materialized yet, and we are on the way to the end of the year. We really hope that it's coming really soon, but we're growing, I'm almost certain, as a community impatient for it. And that's just one of probably many things we wish we can have that we just need Apple to tell us that they are looking at or considering. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to A Vision Experiment for more videos just like this. I'm so passionate about Vision Pro as a device and Vision as a platform. We just want to see it improve and not stagnate. It's so important that you guys get involved in the comments. Tell me what your thoughts are, how you're feeling right now, if you're a Vision Pro user just like me, or whether you're looking at getting your hands on a Vision Pro and just needed this information to make you realize kind of what the state of play is right now. And I'll catch you guys for another video really soon.